guys, RCAnime here, today with some intriguing information about the very famous anime Clannad and its sequel Clannad After Story. Now, Clannad is perhaps one of the most recognized and critically acclaimed anime of recent years, and there is no surprise that it is, delivering a heart-throbbing tale along with one of the most mature romances in the medium. Though, while Clannad After Story's somewhat ambiguous ending has raised some questions among certain viewers, one thing that many people have left unanswered, which I think was always much more interesting, is what really was Nagisa Furukawa sick with? Of course, major spoilers up ahead. She dies. To clarify before I continue, in the show itself, it was claimed that the doctors did not know what Nagisa was actually sick with, therefore ruling out common illnesses like cancer, AIDS, malaria, the common cold, swine flu, SARS, heart disease, and Ebola. So what was it on the face of this planet that made Nagisa mortally ill? Well, we don't want to forget that Nagisa wasn't the only one with her sickness, but also her and Tomoya's daughter, Ushio. Though neither of Nagisa's parents ever showed any signs of ever having this disease, nor has it ever been implied that anyone else in her family ever came down with it, making it clear that it either only began with Nagisa somehow, or that maybe Nagisa's sickness was never genetic in the first place. But if Nagisa's illness wasn't genetic, how did Ushio become sick? In order to answer that question, I put on my British hat once again and started to investigate this oddity that lay hidden in this rather quiet show. Maybe there was a darker element no one ever realized. Though, what could such a thing be in a rather bittersweet simple series like Clannad? Well, if Ushio didn't get Nagisa's illness due to genetics, that only leaves us with one conclusion. At some point in their lives, both Nagisa and Ushio must have came in contact with the same substance that might have infected both of them. Now, you may think that's impossible to figure out due to the fact that we're only watching an anime, therefore we don't see the full spans of their lives knowing everything they've come in contact with. But thankfully, as if the creators of the series wanted to make it very subtly evident, there was one thing both of these girls obviously consumed, which may have pushed them to their deaths. Think about it, one thing that both Nagisa and Ushio were surrounded by during their childhood, one thing in the show that caused all the suffering and anguish among all the characters involved. The one thing that moved the audience into crying like this.
Someone help me. I don't know. I can't breathe. And I'm holding my pillow.
The one thing that killed the lovable Nagisa and Ushio. Sanai's bread. Okay, before you turn away, stay with me here. It's been proven again and again that Sanai's bread has powerful effects on others, usually causing them to choke or want to throw up. The show treats this as a running gag, but what we're really seeing here are these characters experiencing tremendous and terrible nausea. But the thing is, we've all eaten bad food before, food that was stale or tasteless. Though, these people eating Sanai's bread are literally physically suffering. Just look at these gang members all brought down by a single bite of the powerfully dangerous bread baked by Sanai. Imagine something that can do this to all these people could have done to a young child. Now, before you make the argument that other people who've eaten Sanai's bread, such as Tomoya, Akio, and Sanai herself, are still alive and kicking, there's a very reasonable response to this. A child's immune system is simply a lot weaker than that of an adult. Tomoya, Akio, Sanai, they've grown up already, their bodies are stable and are at their prime. Poor Nagisa and Ushio, however, have been eating these poisonous baked goods since they were toddlers. Especially Ushio, who was raised in Sanai's bakery, nothing but a death trap. But hey, Nagisa already showed symptoms of her sickness before Sanai ever opened up her bakery, right? A time where Nagisa almost died as a child? Yes, you're right, but think about it. Right after Sanai quit her job, she opened up a bakery, which means that Sanai must have baked bread a good amount of times beforehand, otherwise it would have made no sense for her to open up a bakery without prior experience or knowledge and such. And like how any other mother would, she would of course occasionally feed her poisonous bad bread to Nagisa, making it very likely that Sanai's bad bread murdered Nagisa and Ushio. As further proof, there's even a small hint that the show gives you on this possibility, placed very carefully in Tomoya's dream sequence. And I'll prove it to you here in dubbed form to show that this is an actual literal piece of dialogue from the show.
The aroma of baking bread makes the mental state of a person unhealthy. That makes no sense.
Oh yes, it does.
There it is. An actual piece of dialogue from Clannad that clues you in on this odd conspiracy. You can even check this scene out for yourself if you wish. It's in episode 11, 14 minutes in. Though, can bread actually kill you? Well, yes, it actually scientifically can. And a certified doctor is here to show you how.
Hi, thanks for having me, Matt. I'm Dr. Nya, back with another lesson, this time on how bread kills you. It's very simple actually. As you should already know, bread molds due to a type of fungi that either comes from the yeast the bread is made with or the spores that come from the air. One genus of fungi that grows in bread is known as Aspergillus, a common contaminant in starchy foods. And a type of Aspergillus called Aspergillus fumigatus which can have invasive aspergillosis, an infectious disease that generally affects those with weakened immune systems, like people with AIDS, people going through chemotherapy, or young children whose immune systems have not yet fully developed. Poorly controlled aspergillosis may result in a spreading through the bloodstream which can cause widespread organ damage, which leads to symptoms such as fever, chills, breathing difficulty, and may result in death. Though if I, as an amazing doctor, can tell that this is probably what Nagisa had, why couldn't the other doctors see it? Well, despite the fact that I'm much more sophisticated, it's actually relatively rare for Homo sapiens to be infected by Aspergillus fumigatus, generally needing a vessel to truly put someone in danger, something like bad bread. This is practically an almost unprecedented case of what the CDC recognizes as a foodborne disease, or more commonly known as food poisoning, meaning that Sanai's bad bread entropy probably did kill poor Nagisa and Ushio. You know how the saying goes, everything must be sent into chaos before it can be fixed.
Thanks again, Dr. Nia.
Yeah, fuck you.
So there you have it, the science behind how bad bread most likely killed Nagisa and Ushio, and left all of our hearts broken due to that fact. Of course, this leads to the bigger question. If Nagisa and Ushio did die because of this, was Sanai ever aware? Sure, it's very likely that she wasn't, as we can see in the show, she does have a very ditzy disposition and personality, but how do we know it's not just a facade, put up to deceive everyone around her? Maybe she's not the loving and beautiful mother we remember her as. Maybe there's something much darker and sinister behind her. What if Sanai had planned this all along? Her scheme unknown by her husband and Tomoya? What if Sanai wanted to kill Nagisa and Ushio? Is Sanai Furukawa a murderer?
Meaning that Sanai's bad bread entropy. Look at bad bread entropy. And a type of Aspergillus called Aspergillus fumigatus which can have invasive aspergillosis. Fucking invasive, fuck me. And a type of Aspergillus called Aspergillus fumigatus which can have invasive... Again!